everyone, welcome back to Royalty Soaps and a brand new, it's a brand new year, it's a brand new collection, it's kind of a brand new everything over here. This collection is called the Dear Diary collection. Very whimsical, a little bit of Rococo, Pride and Prejudice, Bridgerton, Valentine's Day, antiquated, you know? You feel? And today's soap is called Written by a Woman. Now, I thought the term written by a woman was an old thing. I thought that was something that people have said for a really long time. But I showed my mom the soap design and she was like, what does that mean? And I said, what? And she said, written by a woman. What does that mean? That sounds like such a weird name. So apparently it's a new thing. A man written by a woman can be understood as a product of the female gaze. This character is typically tall, handsome, introspective, apologetic. It's respectful towards his mother, expresses his feelings, listens earnestly, hates golf. It's just like an ultimate dreamboat in that way. I actually don't feel like Mr. Darcy is a good example of that. I feel like he's very much too realistic, but Jamie Fraser, however, is an example of that, okay? Come on. That is the name of the soap we are making today. It is a lovely fragrance combo. We'll talk about that a little bit later. I hope you guys like it. This was definitely a test batch. I made it. I found 3 or 4 tweaks that we're gonna need to make for our final bars, but this was a really good experiment to make sure that I get exactly what I want out of this design. The first thing of note today is our fragrance oil blend. So it is a 50-50 mix of The Perfect Man by Nature's Garden and Stud by Nature's Garden. I have used both of these fragrances for quite some time. They blend beautifully together. The fragrance notes are very complex. It smells like just kind of a woodsy mixed with a little bit of aquatic notes. It's a very cologne smell. Y'all are gonna love it. I do have to blend up my lye water solution before I add it to my oils today because we've added a little bit of sodium lactate. I happen to know after using these fragrance oils quite some time that they do slow everything down a little bit and make your soap a little bit squishy. So to counteract that, we're adding some sodium lactate. If you didn't want to buy sodium lactate and you still wanted to create a harder bar, you could always dissolve some table salt in water. It has a very similar effect. All right, gonna go ahead and pour that lye water solution in. And for this design, we're going with simple elegance. I feel like the target audience for this particular bar is going to appreciate that. We're not gonna add glitter, but we are gonna add a little bit of pizzazz to the middle. So let's go ahead and blend it up.
The mountains hide my hindsight, and all I see is you.
This batch is barely past emulsion, but we still have a lot of mixing to do, which is why I'm doing my best to keep it as runny as possible. So let's go ahead and add our colorants. We'll start by adding titanium dioxide to this container. We want that to be a nice white, and then a blend of ultramarine blue with black oxide to this container. Blend the white first because it's lighter.
The heartache that brought me here, hurt that held the fear and tied me to a stone.
Because I haven't used this fragrance blend in a while, I'm gonna start by hand mixing because with fragrance, you kind of never really know if the manufacturer has changed the ingredients. Those are proprietary. And I have had a couple of times where I used a fragrance one time, it behaved super well, it was a beautiful, beautiful pour, and then I went to use it a second time, it totally seized my batch. I had to throw the whole thing out because the recipe for the fragrance had fundamentally changed and I just didn't know it. So all it took was one time for me to learn my lesson and now I blend it in by hand first. I'm gonna go ahead and pour my white into my blue all around once, and then right into the middle, breaking the fall for the second pour. I am gonna keep a little bit for the top, not a lot though, just, you know, yay much. Now we're gonna pour about 1/3 of our batter into the mold. Look at that marbling. Oh, so pretty. Now I'm gonna take some 24 karat gold mica and I'm going to get all of it on top. Now, I'm not making lines here. I'm going to try to make veins like you would see in marble. So I'm not being careful. I'm not trying to make sure that every single bar has exactly the same amount. I just filled up an entire tea strainer and wherever it goes is where it goes. So you can see it's not even. Now I'm going to purposefully break that, okay? In fact, I may use my spatula to give me a little more control, but I am going to try to bust through that layer a little bit so that I make uneven veins. I don't want this to be a single line all the way through. I want it to almost look cracked after the pour. Woo! All right, that was a little harder, admittedly, than I thought it was going to be. It's hard to hold this big container while pouring it all in. Okay, so you can see I slammed most of that gold in already. Now I'm gonna do another layer, and I'll probably end up doing 3 of these just for good measure. All right, a little more on top. Perfect. Is gold dust everywhere? Absolutely it is. I'm gonna use a container this time to get a little closer. You can see I'm splitting that line up. Yeah, we want it to crinkle like this. That's what's gonna look best. Gonna split that down a little further this time. I'm holding my soap from farther away. Okay, this one I'm pouring very shallow, really, really shallow, just to get more coverage of that gold so that we can sprinkle some more on top. Gorgeous. All right, last bit of sprinkling. Perfect. All right, the container is light enough that I can actually just pour it in. Okay, gotta scrape everything out of this little container. All right, my white in this bucket is still pretty runny, so I'm just gonna make a stripe of this all the way down like that, just like that. Okay, everybody's gonna get some now. Let me make sure these little bitty corners are too. All right, and now I'm gonna give it a good swirl, just like this. Nothing too much. I'm also gonna go once this way, really big, just to get some of those bigger parts of the white to swirl in a little bit more. Everything is still very defined though. And then for the top, we're gonna keep it pretty simple. This is nice how it is, but just to tie in the gold accents, I am gonna spritz just a little bit of Sparkle Me Gold on top, because we all know that women like to write stories about sparkly men. I'm looking at you, Stephanie Meyer. This fragrance oil does have a tendency to ash, so I am going to spritz this really, really well with rubbing alcohol. And that's it. We'll let it sit for 18 to 24 hours. This is what it looks like up close. And we'll come back tomorrow to cut our soap written by a woman.
We know, with our eyes closed, we still see. We can hear it through the windows, we can see it through the walls.
Look at these beautiful bars. Now, exactly what I said would happen. You can see up close a little bit of soda ash, just a little bit. However, I was a goose and I poured this really, really runny. Next time, it will not be so runny. Also, I didn't exactly wait long enough for the ultramarine blue to fully absorb into the oil, and my oil wasn't hot enough for mixing. So make that a lesson to you. When mixing up ultramarines, put them in the hottest oil your container can handle, okay? They will disperse so much better if you do that. So future batches won't look exactly like this, but it's a good starting point. I really like the gold on top. It's not too much. Gonna pull one out the middle, and this is what it looks like on the inside. So you can see some of the veining of the glitter. There's some pieces down here, a little bit of stripe right here. I'll probably go even thicker in the future because you can still see it, but it's kind of faint and I want it to be a little more potent. Here's a better example. You see how this makes sort of a vein look? We're gonna try to achieve more of that down in this portion in the next couple of batches, but in total, total, I love the fragrance oil combination. I wouldn't change anything about the top. I think the top looks awesome. These are good sized bars. They weigh anywhere between 6 to 7.5 ounces, just kind of depending. So it's a good bang for your buck. It smells really, really, really good. So if you know someone who would enjoy this fragrant note combination, well, consider this for your Valentine's Day present. Y'all want to cut another one? Let's cut one of the edge loaves so we can see if we got some more of that marbling. Wow, look at that craziness. It is nice and swirly in there, super pretty. Does definitely look like a stone or some sort of a gem. Look at that. That's wild. It looks so good.
Hold on. I have a question of the day.
Oh my word. All right, Caleb, come on in here and give our Written by a Woman soap a smell for me and tell me what you think. Oh my word.
That smells good.
Okay, great. Okay, question of the day. Let's hear it.
Would you rather dance every step you take
Oh my gosh, that's...
or sing every word you speak?
Oh, sing every word, for sure. I dance the line of doing that in my everyday life all the time already. That's not a huge step. What about you? I feel like you would dance every step.
Yeah, I'd rather be quiet and just dance.
Well, I hope you do dance, Caleb. I hope you dance.
It feels like it should be a quote, but it isn't.
Yes, it is.
From what?
The song.
I just said I don't want to sing.
Caleb.
What song is that from?
That's literally the chorus. It's like, I hope you dance. I hope you dance. I think it's
From whom?
I don't know. I feel like it's a country song.
Oh, well, that explains it. I don't know all these old...
I think it's from the 90s. I'm starting to second guess myself.
That is an oldie. 90s music. New question of the day. How old does music have to be before it's considered an oldie?
When I think old country, I think George Strait. I think Faith Hill. I think Tim McGraw. That's probably not even old enough, honestly. How about Patsy Cline?
Yeah, not Tim McGraw.
Patsy Cline.
How about Johnny Cash? And
oh, are we putting him in country category?
Yeah.
I put Johnny Cash in rock.
Well, you're wrong.
Am I? I have a feeling that we're about to light up. Everybody's going to be pissed. They're going to be like, y'all don't know anything. Why are you spouting opinions? I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. This is going to be absolutely drop dead gorgeous whenever I hone the final design. We make sure that the heat for the oils is high enough to actually get all those little speckles incorporated. We're definitely gonna keep the sodium lactate because it did make cutting a lot better, and these bars are already a lot firmer, which I love. So a little bit of tweaks here and there, but overall, the fragrance combo, oh my god. I mean, everything else is great. I hope you guys have an absolutely royal day. I will see you over on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts. And until the next video, bye for now. Meow.